We like to think our media diet is a Pokémon team. We look at our subscription feeds and assume we've curated a perfect, elite roster of creators, neatly categorized by their political types, their content styles, and their utility to our worldview. We treat the entire ecosystem like a high-level, turn-based strategy game. When a conflict happens on the timeline, we approach it like a competitive match. We think points are being scored, types matter, and a well-reasoned argument operates like a super effective move that cleanly settles the debate. But it's a complete illusion of control. YouTubers aren't Pokemon, they're Miis! You cannot train these people. They do not have static stats. They are fundamentally volatile, low-resolution data structures trapped inside a digital apartment building governed by a platform algorithm designed to make them pick fights. When you look at a massive internet clash, like Hassan and Shuonhead trading blows on a timeline, your brain isn't actually registering a complex, multi-layered geopolitical debate. It's these two Miis having a pre-programmed, violent argument in room 302 because one of them gifted the other a piece of spoiled milk. We convince ourselves we are engaging with deep culture, but we are actually just staring at a flat apartment building interface, watching two cartoon characters throw a tiny tantrum until a notification bubble pops up over their heads. Every modern media essayist loves to sit you down and solemnly remind you that YouTubers are not your friends. They pull out the phrase parasocial relationship like it's a profound revelation, completely missing the fact that the audience already knows this. The analysis is too shallow. You don't actually think Hassan is going to help you move your couch this weekend. You don't expect Shuonhead to text you back. You know where the boundary is. The real structural vulnerability is that your subconscious hardware doesn't care about your intellectual logic. Because your brain registers these creators as Miis, it treats them exactly the way a 3DS treats a guest character that wandered into your plaza. You paid 0 play coins to import them into your head. You didn't invite them to have deep reciprocal human value. You just invited them to inhabit a small low-res room in the back of your mind to perform a specific repetitive action, whether that's launching into a timeline controversy or playing an acoustic bass cover. They aren't your friends, but because they occupy that virtual real estate in your mind, their arguments start to sound like domestic disturbances in your own building. When the drama engine fires up, you aren't logging on to check the news. You're just checking to see if the cartoon characters are still screaming at each other. When we fixate on the drama between personalities like Hassan and Shu, we get bogged down in a deep psychological character study. We analyze their history, their personal flaws, their expressions. But focusing on the person is a trap. When you view the timeline from a place of inner spaciousness, you realize that the individual person is just a cosmetic skin. Their Miis being handed a rigid algorithmic script. The real entity operating on your feed isn't a human being at all. It's the agenda they are being incentivized to push. We get so caught up debating whether we prefer the character in room 1 or the character in room 2 that we completely forget both rooms are inside a simulation designed explicitly to keep us locked in the building. The agenda is what modifies your brain chemistry. The creator is just the colorful plastic casing it's delivered in. Once you stop looking at the faces and start looking at the code, the actual agendas clashing in the sandbox, the personal drama stops being frustrating. It just becomes data. I'm not speaking from a detached observation deck here. As a college student, I was right there in the trenches. I was personally way too invested in internet drama. I spent hours tracking the timelines, dissecting the callouts, and letting my own brain chemistry be dictated by people who didn't know I existed. Looking back on it now with a bit more space, I understand exactly why I did it. When you're a college student, your immediate real-world environment is a chaotic, completely unprogrammable sandbox. You're trying to balance a real-life roster of friends, heavy workloads, and massive future anxieties. It's exhausting. Turning on a video of a streamer clash wasn't a failure of intelligence, it was a coping mechanism. It allowed me to feel like I was participating in the grand, critical debates of our culture, but with the total safety of a screen. It was infinitely easier to care about the cartoon scripts being handled to the Miis in my head than to navigate the terrifyingly complex realities of my own immediate world. We focused on these creators because we want to believe that someone out there has a handle on the narrative, that it's a clean Pokemon match where someone can actually win. But once you realize that even the biggest creators are just low-resolution entities stuck on an algorithmic island, you stop looking for answers in their comment sections. You take a breath, you step back, and you realize you can finally close the laptop, step out of the simulation, and start living on your own terms.